Yet I'm unable to see a live stream. Yeah, we are live, I guess. Yet I'm Pragyan, yeah, you have to switch on your mic connection. It's speaker audio is not yet on. You are not audible on the stream. Yeah, yeah, sure.
Okay, just let me know if things are okay now.
Yeah, yeah. Now they are perfect. We are live.
Okay. So, hello everyone. This is Debating Society IIT Guwahati, and welcome to the finals of Vaksangram, the online debating tournament. And today, currently, this is the prep time that is going on. We have already released the motions, and the teams are preparing. So, we'll show you the motions. Just, just a second.
You- Should I share the screen or you have it somewhere?
No, I have it. Just I'll share it. Okay. So, I hope the screen might be visible now. Just, Sonder, if you could tell me if the screen is visible.
Yes, it is, but it's like we cannot see the whole screen. We can just see a part of it. Can you just
Yeah,
zoom
yeah,
out on
sure.
the stream?
Yeah, just give me 10 seconds.
The crop. Yeah, yeah, sure. So I guess in yeah, perfect.
Is it visible now?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And just it is visible. Don't zoom in. Just go a bit, like yeah, it is perfect right now. Yeah, makes
Okay.
yeah fine.
So we are also visible, right?
Yeah, but put it a bit right. Can you not see? Like this is what I can see. It's not aligned properly.
Okay, yeah, I can see. Wait, just give me a second. Actually, I'm streaming from a screen that has different dimensions than that of the standard dimensions of YouTube, so that might be the reason.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Okay, nevertheless, like if
Yeah,
the
yeah,
PPT
I
is
guess
visible, then
it's
it's
fine.
fine.
Okay, yeah. Your stream is still running. So preview the PPT. I cannot see the PPT yet on the
Okay.
stream. It's not visible. The PPT is not visible
It
on
might
the
be visible
stream.
now.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Okay, okay.
It is. Fine.
So this is the final motion release of Vaksangram, starting with the first motion.
We are debating on the first one, right?
Yeah, we're debating on the first one.
The debate is happening.
So we'll go through all the motions.
So yeah, the all right.
Okay, just give me 1 second. Yeah. So this is the context. So it reads portions that influence human emotions, whether to increase happiness, reduce fear, or induce love, have become widespread in magical society. While some argue that these portions can help improve quality of life, others contend that they undermine genuine emotional connections and personal autonomy. This motion calls for a ban on these emotional altering portions to preserve individual freedom and authentic emotional experiences. So that is what the context is. Now we'll move towards what the motion is. So, yeah, the motion is this house would ban the use of potions that alter human emotion. So, that is what the motion is. And this is what we are debating upon in the finals of Vaksangram. The other two motions were We'll move to motion 2 now. So the context reads, the Earth has faced environmental collapse, overpopulation, and a political strife, leading to the search for a new home for humanity. A distant habitable planet has been discovered and a new society is to be formed there. This motion proposes that artificial intelligence free from human biases should govern this new world, ensuring efficiency, fairness, and the long-term sustainability of the society. Yeah, so that is what the context is for motion 2. And now I'll show you the motion. So the motion is this is motion 2. This house would create a utopia on a distant planet with artificial intelligence as the ruling government. So by now you might have guessed that the theme for the finals is fantasy, and these are all hypothetical motions that we are going to debate upon. Moving towards the final motion, that is motion 3. Okay. So yeah, the context. Time travel has become a reality, but it is heavily regulated. Many people use time travel for personal reasons, such as revisiting past events, altering their futures, or acquiring knowledge from the future. However, these actions have led to unintended consequences, including paradoxes and distortions on the timeline. This motion argues that time travel should be, I think it zoomed out. Wait. The motion argues that time travel should be restricted to governmental or scientific use only, in order to prevent the chaos that arises from personal alterations of history. And the wordings of the motion are, this house believes that time travel should be banned for personal use. So these were the three motions for the final round of Vaksangram, and we will be debating upon the motion 1, that is, this house would ban the use of potions that alter human emotion. So the debate starts at 2:08 sharp.
But
It
again,
is,
can you check the
pardon, Sandhya, I couldn't hear.
check check your chat? I sent you some details on
Yeah, yeah,
WhatsApp.
yeah, sure.
So
Yeah,
we also have Mayuk and Sanjay here with us. Our judges for this round, the panelists. So
yeah,
is there
we introduced the
something you guys
panelists.
want to view? Hello, are you there, Mayuk, Sanjay? Yes, there is some issue. They'll join us soon. So yeah, so this was the first time we have been organizing a tournament of such sort here. Like DebSoc IIT Guwahati has organized this for the first time. It was a pretty great experience organizing it, right, Pragyan?
Yeah, I would agree to that. Like initially, it felt that it won't be able to carry out like it was a big task for us because we have participated into a lot of tournaments, but conducting one ourselves with the limited resources and the experience that we're still gaining upon. So it was tough, but yeah, we all came together. Each and every member of the club came together, and finally, we are so happy and so glad to tell you all that we have reached the finals. Like it has happened, and it is still like hard to believe, but yeah, it has been a great
In
experience, a
like
great learning experience, I would say.
and in around I guess 2 3 hours we'll get to know who won
Yeah,
the
yeah.
and
In around
who
2 hours
wins
only,
Vaks
we'll get to know. We'll
for
have
yeah.
so a great debate is about to come, is upcoming. Both the teams have done. These were the top two teams throughout the tournament. These were the teams who were like who had the top two places throughout the tournament. So yeah, we can expect a great debate.
Pragyan, did you fix the
Yeah,
things
yeah,
I
yeah.
told you?
I did.
Okay, but I can't see it fixed it. Okay, yeah, it got fixed. Nice. Is Sanjay here? Sanjay, are you here?
Yeah, Sanjay is here. So let me quickly tell you about ourselves. So we are the POR holders in the club. I am the overall coordinator of the debating society, and alongside me is the jam head Saundar Keshri. And you can see two other people here. They are the competitive debating heads who are also the panelists for today's finals, Mayuk Mathi and Sanjay Baranwal. So, uh, like all of us have been very excited for this finals, and we hope you are also, and you will be enjoying the finals that are yet to start. So, we are basically waiting for the teams to prepare. It's 1:58. We'll be starting in 10 minutes now.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
Soundarya,
right.
why don't you tell about the ongoing events that the club is organizing right now, like the summer discussions and the
Yeah,
preparations that are going on for the inters?
yeah. So currently we have a lot on our plate. We have like December discussions is one of the events which we do every December, where we put on some motions on our Instagram page. You can check out our Instagram page, which is linked with our channel.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
we
yeah.
put
You'll
out
find
some
it in the
motions.
description.
Yeah, people comment their views upon there, and they like, we try to find the best arguments, and then we give feature them in our story. This time we also plan to find the best comments throughout the month and give them some goodies and stuff. So other than that, we have our inter IIT preparation going on in full force. So like I can tell you about jam, like it's we do practice daily with a lot of our like team and other members of our club who help us out in our practice. Other than that, the debate practice is also going on excellently well. Sanjay here, I guess, is active right now. Sanjay can tell you further about the debate practices and how we conduct debates in our club in general. Sanjay, are you here?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we normally follow the Asian parliamentary style in our debate. So we typically encourage our freshers to go through we guide them about the basics of debate as to how you form arguments, how you lay the context for the motion, and how you present your arguments in a concise manner.
Okay, I think there's some connection issue with Sanjay. Not a
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, please can continue what Sanjay was.
Yeah, for Intel IT, yeah. So what we started doing was we started going for theme practices, and we have been having couple practicing cross mocks with other IITs and other colleges throughout the month, and yeah, it's been going pretty well. Also for freshers, we have cross mocks.
So yeah, we also have our previous secretary joining us. So Maima is here. Maima, are you? Yeah,
Hi everyone.
yeah. Would you like to add something? We were just talking about our events which are happening currently and how great the like the event Vaksangram has been for us, and how excited we are for the finals.
Yeah, I think this is definitely a first for the club. It's really good that you guys are taking this initiative. We've never done this before in our club. So hopefully the scale of this tournament will grow next year and we can kind of organize the same on a larger scale now that we know how it works. So yeah,
Right.
very proud of you guys. Keep it going.
Yeah. Thank you. And other than that, anything else if you want to add for our viewers?
Have you already started streaming it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Why do you think we are
It's
forwarding
streaming.
this?
It is live
Interesting.
everywhere. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, so
Yeah, my
To
God.
all of you who are new to debating, it's definitely like a very worthy hobby to have. It's taught me a lot as a person and like just in general help me present myself better and form arguments better. So if you're new to debating, please do stick around. It'll definitely be worth it and at the end you'll just learn a lot, make a lot of friends and yeah, it's a really nice society to be a part of for sure. Unbiased
that
opinion.
we all can unanimously agree to.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
So yeah, we are waiting
Okay,
for
so
the
5 minutes to go. five
Yep.
Yeah,
minutes
Mahima
for the
is
final
chair for
speech.
the Mahima is the
Sorry?
chair for the
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Maima, at the chair, how do you like adjudicating?
I think adjudicating is amazing. I mean, yeah, it's
yeah,
nice to kind of hear both sides and have to form a decision on which side wins. It's like it's a nice experience. It's pretty different from debating, I'd say, because in debating you're biased and you're defending one side, but as an ad you're forced to see things from a neutral angle. So
Yeah, I agree.
that's
true, true.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, so Saundara,
Yeah.
for people who don't know about adjudication, please like give a small brief.
Yeah, so adjudication. So in Asian parliamentary debate, the debate happens between two teams, which are teams of three people: the prime minister, the deputy prime minister, and the whip, and their counterparts for the opposition. And an adjudicator is a person who judges the debate from a common standpoint, from a standpoint of a person who is a normal person who doesn't have details up to a grade of the topic, any normal observer. And then from that standpoint, the judge judges the debate. He or she finds out the clashes of the debate and then scores the teams accordingly. So
Yeah, and a lot
that's
of
what energy.
these things about the Asian parliamentary debate and this tournament have been covered in one of the introductory workshops. You can also find that
Yeah,
on our channel. So
true, true, true.
yeah, we have covered the basics and a lot of things over there. So do like have a watch.
Yeah, definitely. That was a great session taken by Pragyan here only.
Yep.
Yeah. So like
Yeah, I guess our debate will start
yeah, in the next
in
few
two
minutes
minutes
we'll
or
be
so.
starting with the debate. So
Yeah,
today is day two of the tournament. Yesterday this tournament started with three prelims rounds. Uh, and today morning we had the semi-finals, and this at 1:25 1:30 we released the motions for the finals, and now it is time for the debate to start. We all are very excited, and we hope you are as well if you're watching.
yeah. May the best team win.
Yeah, yeah, may the best team win.
Just to clarify, where you're sending a Gmeet link, right?
Yeah, yeah, we'll shift to
Or is it
Gmail,
happening? Okay, cool.
Yeah,
whatever may be convenient.
yeah. I guess we can shift
Yeah,
to
I think
Gmeet.
one side is requested specifically for
Yeah, yeah,
Gmeet,
yeah,
so we'll
no
accommodate.
problem, we can shift to
Yeah.
Gmail.
Yeah. All right then, Pragyan. Let's meet with our viewers after the debate happens. Till that, let's tune them
Yeah,
up with the
sure.
debate.
Let us enjoy the debate.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, I'll share my like now share the Gmeet on the stream. Just give me a second.
yeah. Sure. For people who have come just now, we are just starting the debate. Like the debate is
Yeah,
almost over. We will be streaming it here right now. Okay. Yeah, all right. Where's my- Wait, let me create one and send it.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Okay,
I
so
sent it on the final.
yeah, yeah.
Let me also send it on the general room one. Or do we had a general chat, right? Where's-
We do
Yeah,
have,
here.
yeah.
Yeah, I sent it there as well. Yeah, I did.
Hey, just one of you, just please speak. I need to verify if the stream is working properly.
Is it
Hello.
working?
Yeah, yeah, cool. So Mayuk, you can introduce everyone once again.
Uh, Introduce the com the aggregators. And okay, cool. So everyone, congratulate to both our teams. Congratulations for reaching the finals of Vaksangram. Mahima will be the chair of this room with me and Sanjay as the panelists. So yeah, best of luck to both our teams. I'll be the panelist, Mayuk, pronouncing him.
Yeah, along with Sumit as well, Mayuk, I guess, is the panelist, right?
Oh yeah, he is there.
Yeah.
Okay, is the team prop here in entirety?
Yeah, we are here.
Okay, you can text the speaking order to the chair. You can text it to Maima. Is the team op here?
Yeah. Yes, op is here in entirety.
Okay, cool. So I think we have all the panelists and the chair as well, so we can start. Uh, Maima, you can start whenever you want to. Like,
Yeah, sure. Just give me a second. I'm setting up the timer only.
Yeah, yeah, sure. In the meantime, let me tell you once again, we are debating upon the first motion. The motion reads, this house would ban the use of potions that alter human emotion. And we have team JBL in the proposition and team Avengers Ethos in the opposition. So people who joined now, once again, welcome to the finals of Vaksangram. Mahima, over to you.
Yes. Hi guys, I'm Mahima. I'll be the chair for this round. Welcome to Vaksangram finals. Like Pragyan just said, we'll be debating on motion one. And yeah, I'm looking forward to a really good, heated debate. All the best to both sides. So I will share my screen so you guys can see the timer while talking. And yeah, with that, I call upon the Prime Minister to start their speech whenever you're ready. Here.
Will you be sharing the timer? Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
I'm Shravya. I will be speaking as the Prime Minister, and I'll take POIs between the fifth and sixth minute. You can raise your hand. I'll be starting in three, two, one. So, as the Prime Minister, I propose a ban on the general usage of emotion regulating potions. These potions should only be used if prescribed by a licensed medical professional. And what makes us human is the drive to build a life that we can be happy with. This is what motivates people to go about their days. This is what people define their lives around being able to build a life that brings you the emotions you need to. And and for happiness to mean something, there has to be there has to be other emotions too. The highs and lows are both a critical part of life, and to use emotion regulating potions to induce just the highs or reduce the lows would be would take the meaning out of um, a human life. Emotions and emotional reactions are characterized by a person's entire life. I said I would be taking PIs between the fifth and sixth minute. So emotions are characterized by an entire life, and to the way that a person reacts is a product of their circumstances, of all their experiences up till that point, and their emotions are a part of this. So to reduce that to just a series of portions is extremely reductive of a life. Emotions are complicated and cannot be boxed into a bunch of portions. Um, i- these emotion regulating portions are also a violation of free will. Love portions are vi- a direct violation of consent. It can it can erode trust and affect the authenticity of human connection. To manipulate someone into loving you by using emotion regulation potions is is going to erode trust, is going to make human connections themselves artificial. People are not going to be able to tell the difference between their own emotions and what has been induced in them by other people. Similarly, this can be used to misuse these emotion potions. can be misused and used to exploit groups of people by suppressing fear, eliminating sadness. These emotions are there for a reason. They are not just reactions, they are reactions to a problem. And just addressing the problem does not does not address the root issue, and this can be used by groups in power to dismiss the emotions and concerns of the people that they are affecting by reducing fear, by removing sadness, by inducing happiness. This We are not addressing any of the actual issues people face, we are just addressing their symptoms. um, uh, Being able to experience emotions out of a bottle is also going to stifle personal growth. What we all aim for is to be able to handle both the highs and lows. The lows are what make the highs more special. The sadness brings gives life to the happiness. The lows are what make the highs special. And by reducing it all, by making it so easily accessible from just a bottle, you are people do not people are not made to grow anymore. Uh, People do not learn to be mature enough to handle the full range of human emotions. And the full range of human emotions are there for a reason, and they are all a part of life. And to reduce or eliminate eliminate or reduce some of them selectively or artificially induce any would be taking away from our humanity itself. um, this can also Being able to access whatever emotion you want without having to work for it can also reduce can also just reduce people's life experiences to just the end product of the emotion. Normally a life is about earning an emotion through an experience. It is not just about the end result but that experience. And being able to just have the emotion out of a bottle is is so reductive of life itself. It can also lead to problems like addiction and people being disconnected from reality when they're in their head. They're able to create whatever they want to without having to go out and experience life. Uh, wha- uh, Humans are social creatures and we need authentic connections. To make this connection artificial by being able to induce it through a love potion or any other emotionally manipulative potions makes these connections artificial, and they are no longer of the same value when they can be molded to a single person's will. Human connection is about multiple people and all of their emotions coming into play. They shouldn't and cannot be controlled by another person, by another person or through potions. And that is why I think there should be a ban on the personal usage of these potions, as they reduce our quality of living and stifle our personal growth. Thank you.
Thank you, PM, for that fine speech. The leader of opposition, whenever you're ready, here, here.
Hi, just a quick clarification if I'm audible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know there is a lot of background noise. So like, if at any point of time in my speech I'm not properly audible, just like vocalize and stop my speech, I guess. I'll
Yeah, yeah,
try to
sure.
pick it up. Yeah.
Yes.
I'll just take
And
30 seconds. हाँ बोलो.
yeah, a few things in the meantime. I encourage both teams to ask POIs and to answer POIs because it makes it a lot more interactive instead of running parallelly. And secondly, if you're comfortable, it would be good if you guys could switch on your video while talking. It just makes it that much more interactive for the other team as well. if possible. Not a compulsion, but yeah, just putting it out there. Yeah, whenever you're ready, you can start.
Okay. I can't switch my video on because I'm technically outside.
Sure,
Um,
yeah, no problem.
yeah, just putting it out there. Hi everyone, this is Anushka. I'll be going as the yellow for today's debate. No specific gender pronouns, POIs by a raise of hands. I will be actively asking for one, but on the instance that I don't, please don't vocalize. I'll try my best to take it. That being said, we'll be starting my speech at a self countdown of three, two, one. Government loses this debate simply by virtue of the fact that they do not understand the nuances of this debate in the first place. Secondly, this is a THW motion, which means it was government's burden to go ahead and give us a model to show how this ban is going to be executed in the first place. Thirdly, just because they can somewhat prove that these potions are bad, they cannot prove why these potions should be banned. If we can go ahead and prove that banning these potions means that unregulated use of these potions will increase, we automatically win this debate. That being said, 3 points of rebuttal. Firstly, understand that. Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Can I restart, please? Like, I had this minor inconvenience.
Okay, yeah, yeah, sure. One second.
Thank you so much. Cool. We'll be starting my speech at a self countdown of three, two, one. Government loses this debate because they firstly do not understand the nuances of this debate and their case is soft at best. Secondly, it is a THW motion, which means it was their burden to give us a model and to prove how this ban is exactly going to be executed. Thirdly, understand that it was their burden to prove that now that this potion is banned, people won't have access to this potion whatsoever. If we can prove to you that when this potion gets banned, people will have more access to unregulated markets of these potions, I think we win this debate. That being said, four major points of rebuttals to Gov's case. Firstly, to go ahead and say that it's going to be used by powerful bodies to suppress I don't know, like lower bodies. They have to prove to me why like unregulated uses of this will automatically mean that these powerful people won't have access to it. Understand that the moment government regulations are removed from these potions, the moment it gets banned, these bodies will have greater access to black markets because these bodies are powerful, which means that now they have access to greater unregulated potions. Means suppression is more on their paradigm as opposed to ours. Secondly, understand they go ahead and say that addressing the symptom is the issue and not the problem. Panel note, we can prove to you. I mean, panel note that the problem sometimes can't be solved, right? Which means that you cannot go ahead and say that you have a problem and that can be solved. And this is particularly evident in certain cases where people are in difficult households, etc., toxic relationships, etc. Which means at some point of time, utility or some sort of happiness is a form of escapism that people need. Which means that this debate becomes more sort of important to these people. But then thirdly, they go ahead and say that it's going to reduce the quality of life. That is simply untrue. Secondly, they go ahead and say that it's going to lead to addiction. Obviously, if we can prove to you that the regulation is more on our side and banning it will lead to unregulated substance usage, we can prove that addiction is more on their paradigm as opposed to ours. That being said, there are four major points of framing that I want to give to you. Firstly, understand that this potion exists in both paradigms and people know about it, people have tested it, people know its impacts, which means that the demand for this potion exists in both paradigms. Even if they go ahead and ban it, people will still want it. Secondly, understand what the world probably looks like. In a world where this potion has been invented, we have to understand that necessity is the mother of discovery or invention, right? Which means probably there's a need for this potion, which means this is not a utopic world. This is probably a world which is very, very, I don't know, like war ridden, where people do not have a lot of utility in the first place, which means excessive poverty. People are, like, probably unemployed, severe inequality. But then even in their best case, if we go ahead and prove that like probably this world is like status quo, understand even in status quo, people are never happy, which means that people can never achieve happiness forever. The simple reasoning behind this is like the hedonic treadmill of life, right? The moment you have something, you no longer are satisfied with it. Imagine breaking in a competition was something that made me happy. The moment I started breaking in it, I wanted something more, which means that human satisfaction knows no bounds. We always want something. We always want something more, i.e., we are never actually happy. Thirdly, understand what the incentives of these people consuming these in the first place would look like. Understand, people will still feel real emotions. Conscience doesn't get changed just because people are feeling the emotions. Just because people are artificially using emotions doesn't mean that their real emotions don't exist. People will still probably feel happy when something genuine makes them happy. That being said, people will still feel real emotions. Lastly, panel, we have the fiat to go ahead and propose a model to show how this entire exercise will be regulated. Panel note. Firstly, we believe that the moment we remove this ban, the consumption of this will be government regulated. In the beginning of Gov speech, they go ahead and say that, hey, we're only going to make it medically relevant. Understand, that just means that they do not have a strong stance. If they are going to ban it, they have to ban it in totality. They do not do so. Their stance from the beginning is flawed. But then secondly, we tell you that it's going to be regulated, and it will only be available to people above a certain age, i.e., above the age of 18. Thirdly, we only, because now government has like increased regulation and control over the production of these potions, this will only be available in like certain places which are under government sort of regime, which means that it will be available in certain institutions, certain government hospitals, etc. But then fourthly, we tell you that like higher doses of it will be available to only people who require it medically, i.e., if people want excessive amount of these potions, they probably have to show some kind of medical certification, i.e., things like maybe they're going through depression, or maybe they have certain kind of phobia that do not allow them to like exercise or get maximum utility from life. But then fifthly, understand, we believe that now the supply is also going to be regulated by the government, which means that probably organizations like NGO and relief organizations that go to war-torn areas, that go to conflict-ridden areas where the quality of life in general is a lot bad. These people will probably now have access to these things. It's a lot akin to pain medication at all points of time. That being said, what is our first major point of argumentation? A, understand that in their paradigm the black market is massive. I have already proven to you that the demand for it is going to exist nonetheless, but now the moment it's banned by the government doesn't exercise any sort of control over it, which means there is no government regulation, which means that now these portions are being controlled by private corporations which have capitalist incentives and are probably going to make maximum amount of profit from it, which means that now these portions are only probably accessible to a certain rich society of people who can pay for it. Secondly, it's accessible in places which are like not very lucrative, not very safe in the first place, and has no sort of age regulations because it's happening illegally. Thirdly, we believe that now, the chances of addiction, the chances of health crisis is existing is a lot more simply by virtue of the fact that the market is completely unregulated. That being said, we believe that all the harms that they are trying to push are more on their paradigm as opposed to ours. Because in our paradigm, government has strict control and regulation over it. Government control is very important. But secondly, understand, in our paradigm, people have better quality of lives. A lot of people suffer through phobias and like mental health issue which prevent them from exercising maximum utility from their life. Panel note, these are the people who have the most incentive to go ahead and consume these potions in the first place. Obviously, these potions are very important for these people so that they can exercise maximum utility from their life. But then thirdly, understand, people, a lot of people cannot get out of difficult situation. This looks like people who are in toxic marriages, and society prevents them from getting out of it. People who are probably like suffering through severe depression that they for some reason cannot cure. Understand that this is probably the only way in which they can go about their life in this situation, the only way in which they can probably exercise maximum utility in their situation. It is very insensitive of Kaf to say that all people can go ahead and
Time's up.
solve their problems and be happy. More analysis at the yellow. For all those reasons, vote off.
Thank you for that fine speech, the Deputy Prime Minister, whenever you're ready.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Well, starting my speech at the count of three, two, one. Good afternoon, Sir Adjudicator, members of the House. Myself, Dhruv, today as the Deputy Prime Minister, I firmly stand with the motion that this House would ban the use of potions that alter human emotion. Well, starting with the speech given by the LO, they speak about a non utopian world but also thinks that people need to be happy forever. How is it possible? The opposition should at least try to address the problem instead of reducing down to some small symptoms. She earlier said that availability of it in black markets, but won't that happen the same in their regime as well? And that even if it is available when banned, there will be at least legal consequences for using them when people will be caught, which automatically restricts their use. And she also stated points about toxic marriages, depressions, and stated 2 to 3 times that it is the only way forward by using potions to get out of it. Well, does using potions is the only way forward? It's like in order to solve a problem, you need to exactly address what's the underlying instead of just touching the borders. Like if I'm sad, I take a love potion and I'll be happy. If I again get sad, should I take a love potion again and again and keep on the cycle? Or should I address the inside situation? Like, why am I sad? How can I tackle this sadness? How can I solve the problem? Which in the opposition's model is completely not there. And at least our model accounts for the need by allowing medical professionals to prescribe them. So, well, starting with the models and the proposition by the Prime Minister, the first is the purpose of emotions. Like we are humans, we are social animals. If the bonds that make a person human are not real, then what thing in the world makes us humans? Secondly, undermining personal autonomy that was listed by the Prime Minister. Well, emotion altering potions manipulate emotions, strip individuals of control over their own innate feelings and decisions, thus compromising their autonomy. We do not have control over our emotions. So while making decisions requires a lot of emotions, that can't be done by giving a dose of potions, is it? If you don't have control over the only thing that makes you human, how would that sound like to you? Secondly, undermining authentic human connections. Like love is a very meaningful and a legitimate emotion. It will lose its value if it could be satisfied just with a love potion. Don't you think like that? Thirdly, it is prone to misuse and exploitation. For example, if a person is attracted to someone else and they can't convince them back, then simply using a love potion on them would promote injustice, and it's like very illegal thing to do. Like if the other person isn't interested in you, you use a love potion, they started having interest in you. Is it like that? Well, let me finish this point and I'll take up the POS later on. Secondly is the trust potions used if in a marriage, as you said, the main thing of toxic marriages and all these things revolve upon is due to trust issues. If you have trust issues, you give the other party a trust potion and they start trusting you. You again cheat on them, you give them again trust potions. Don't you think that will undermine the marriage again and again? And third and foremost is addiction. Once we start doing these things, it is a shortcut basically. For example, those people who are doing drugs, it is a shortcut to get out of the world and to relax for a bit, and they keep on getting into the thing and get addicted to it. So what these potions will do is that it will create a world that is addicted to drugs. So I heard there is a POI.
Yes, you just said that people who use these potions will be penalized. How do you understand whether a person is feeling an emotion naturally or artificially?
Well, as you said, in black markets, potions are being sold. So if they are getting caught in such a act, the government can definitely act upon it. And as we said, we are prescribing it only through medical professionals that are certified by the government and they give it based on that. So if it goes into the black market, if the word calls out, then the government can definitely act upon it and it's not a big issue. Like currently, even drugs, if someone does it, the government can always penalize the one that gave those drugs and also the one that used it. So, following with my other point, it stifles personal growth. So, look, emotions are required for our growth. If we take part in a competition, we lose, we have an emotion of fire in us that next time we will perform better. If such a fire could be extinguished by giving potions of happiness, okay, you lost the event, now I give you happiness potion and you forget about it, or a forgetness potion, like you forget about the event. How will that help you to grow? And as the Prime Minister already stated that the treatment to this is that it could be prescribed by medical professionals. For example, we already have certain potions like anesthesia. If some to prevent someone from feeling any pain or something, we already give them anesthesia. So such potions do exist and they are given out. So it is a perfectly balanced thing. So in short, human emotions can't be categorized into a few portions. The goal should not be to achieve happiness forever, but to grow and keep finding happiness in different ways. So that's how the life is to be lived and not behind some potions. Potions may temporarily lift someone's mood or solve the problem temporarily, but it won't solve the underlying issues like the sadness or some trauma or something that they may have. So I heard Menak wants to raise the voice.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
it's a
So,
protected minute.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So with that, I would like to rest my case and hand it over to the adjudicator. Thank you.
Thank you for that fine speech, Deputy Leader of Opposition. Whenever you're ready, here.
Just to clarify our side of the house. So, starting off with the speech of the PM, they started off by saying that this will only be used if prescribed by a medical professional, which was again mentioned in the speech of DPM, which clearly proves that their stance in itself is not clear, which was also mentioned by LO. All the arguments that they made makes it obvious that they don't understand the framing of the debate. For example, multiple arguments made by the PM said how a person is it's possible to exploit a person by somehow giving them this drug to, which was also pointed out in the speech of DPM, how it can be how these potions can be used to make a person fall in love with you and such. Again, these portions exist on their side of the paradigm as well. This debate in itself would be non existent if it weren't, because obviously, if these portions are causing harm of a sort, such as drugs like cocaine, etc., this wouldn't be a debate in the first place, since it's obvious that sale of such substances should not be legal. Now, this it was said by PM that happiness would only mean something if there are other emotions too. Hence, a happiness quotient should not exist. I would say that first of all, it was framed in Elo's speech that just because they're accessible doesn't imply that they're being used at all times. Our model was very clear. These substances will be supplied in some fixed quantity. If a person feels the need for more, they will have to get it prescribed by a professional. Which points given by DPM, which was how if a person loses a tournament or loses something and then they'll just choose to forget it because it diminishes their happiness and there will be no fire in them to do better. Again, this is not happening on our side of the paradigm, so I don't understand why they would throw this out as a point. And in fact, this is happening on their side of the paradigm, because when the sale of such is taken over by the black market, the only incentive that they have is to capitalize on it. They don't care about the well-being of people, which in our side of the paradigm the government would care about the well-being of people. It's they don't have capitalist incentives. So I would like to say that this point is in our favor and not in their favor, because this is more likely to happen and would only happen in their side of the paradigm. Now, it was mentioned how it's a violation of free will and it's a violation of consent. And
they're proposing, PM proposed a hypothetical where you're forcing a person to take a love potion to make them love you. Again, completely irrelevant to the debate. I don't know why they would propose a hypothetical that is just random. Like, such stuff can happen in any case. It's not relevant to this at all. All right, so that counters this. And in their also exploitation was mentioned. Again, I would like to mention exploitation is more on their side because of the existence of black market and such. And a point that kept coming up was that lows make high special, and how it's very how emotions are what make us human, and it's uh, important and necessary to experience emotions in a way that come naturally to you and not induce them. I would like to ask you that if you see a friend who's upset and depressed and at the in the pits of depression and such, would you, and you could press a button to cheer them up, would you rather not do it because so that they experience the full range of emotions? And yes, this efficiently counters whatever you're saying. And it would other terms were thrown about how they how they take away from humanity, and I would like to say that these are just outlandish claims. Now I would like to introduce fresh arguments, and one big argument being these emotions can also be used and will be extremely beneficial for rehabilitation. So, for example, sociopaths, psychopaths, prisoners, etc., are people who haven't felt these emotions in the first place. When a psychologist talks to these people, one main diagnosis and big diagnosis that comes up is that these people have not felt these emotions, which is why they commit such huge crimes and do not feel remorse for it and go ahead to do it again. And I would like to say that these substances can be a huge benefit in this field as well. Uh, these people can, in the worst case, first of all, there is a very valid mechanism that would explain how it does work, which I just mentioned, that one big diagnosis haven't experienced these emotions in the first place. And even if not, considering the worst case, we still have the option to trigger these emotions in these people, which is obviously beneficial. And then it's it was mentioned by Elo how other cases also it's very useful to, if supposed to treat depression and such. For example, there is research going on this as well, and mushrooms that have been shown to cause cure to depression have are widely and by most professionals accepted and applauded. One last thing I would like to say is how pain and emotions were compared
Thumbs
by
up.
giving an example of anesthesia. It's completely invalid. Thank you.
Thank you for that fine speech. Government whip, whenever you're ready.
Hello everyone. Before starting, I would just like to state that I would take POIs between the fifth and sixth minute, and please refrain from writing POI in the chat box. It pops up and it is really distracting. Raise your hands, and if I would like, I would take them. Before starting, myself Ayush, I'll be the government whip. My preferred pronouns are he/him. I'll start on the self count of three, two, one. As the government whip, I would like to finalize our stance, summarize the case proposed by the PM and DPM, and would greatly rebut the flawed logic presented by the opposition. Now I'll start. First, the opposition fails to understand that this is not a dystopian world where the emotional potions are running wild here and there. This is a world where magic exists, and uh, as they argued that how would the government know if the emotions are induced by potions or they are true? Don't I think they fail to understand that this is a fantasy world, and emotions can be induced. Will it be so hard to identify if the emotions are induced by potions or are they real? It's a fantasy world. We have magic. The government obviously has magic. It can obviously come. No, the opposition also paints a bizarre picture, I don't know why, where the government bans potion and suddenly loses its regulatory power. Like if the government is banning the potion, how would it lose the regulatory power? It would still have control over it. That's the word banning means. It means banning it and also regulating that it it is not circulated in the open and people do not use it freely. As already stated by the PM and DPM that they would only be available on a prescription basis, they still counted it but that they would be freely available and they would be misused. Uh, Also, they stated that banning emotional potions creates black markets. They repeatedly claim that. First of all, it is really flawed because it's completely double standard. In I don't know why they think that black markets won't exist in their paradigm. They state that the potions would be released in a regulatory basis and all. So won't black markets arise in their paradigm too? It and also, as we are living in a fantasy world, won't a better enforcement of regulations be available? The magic is freely available to the government. It is really easy for the government to know if the potions are being sold in the black market or not. If the potions are illegally being sold, the potions can have magical trackers in them. The opposition completely fails to realize that this is a fantasy motion and we are living in a fantasy world, not as they clearly themselves stated that this is not a utopian world. They also fail to understand simultaneously that this is also a fantasy world where we can have a better enforcement of laws. Also, banning reduces supply of potions, and potions won't be freely available. And they also state that potions will be equally accessible, which I think counters their own rebuttal that the strong won't have easy access to the potions and it won't be misused. If the potions are equally accessible, don't you think that it is ironic that the rich and powerful, as they have more resources, would have greater access to the potions and will monopolize it and will use them for their better gain? Also, if there are regulations and as they state in their paradigm, they don't clearly state how would stocking up of potions be regulated. If a highly resourceful person in their paradigm can stock up the potions and use it for something bad or not. Don't clearly state how would that be regulated. The opposition also touches the topic of toxic marriages and severe depression. Uh, First, I'll start with the case of toxic marriages. I don't know why they think that if a person is in a toxic marriage, he'll be allowed to go and consult a person and would be able to get the portion as in their air quotes their regulated paradigm. Also, potions don't actually solve the problems. Every emotion has a reason behind it. If it is happiness or a good emotion, there would have been some event which led to it. There something would have happened in the person's life which led to that emotion. Also, if something bad is happening, such as which leads to severe depression, it requires therapy. It requires support and systemic solutions, not just giving magical shortcuts that suppress symptoms temporarily. Also, the real consequences of potions has been greatly ignored in the opposition's case. That they rely on potions for emotional growth and healing. They also grief. They think that grief, sadness, and fear are flaws in humans and they should be treated. They are human experiences which help the person grows, and which I already stated that they can be used effectively using therapy and potions both. Also, the opposition has inconsistent logic. Summarizing my case for the rebuttals, the opposition has inconsistent logic. They think that the potions will be accessible to everyone, but they think that it could still enter black markets. They want regulation, but also fail to explain that how it would prevent misuse. And they have completely failed to address the context of this motion that we are living in a fantasy world, and it is really easy to regulate if okay, I'll take the POI.
Why is it so easy to regulate in a fantasy world?
Okay, as the potions are being as the potions are being produced, is it really hard to keep a magical tracker on the potion if it is being sold in the black markets or not? So closing my case, I'll just summarize our the government stance quickly. Our case was based on four major points. It was that the magical potions hinder personal autonomy. If personal autonomy is not, I'm sorry, is not valued, it clearly directly violates free will. Uh, if it directly violates free will, the basic sense of the basic right of a person to have autonomy and free will is violated. The opposition stance treats emotions like problems which need to be fixed, ignoring that they serve as vital signals of underlying issues. Also, if potions are used, it clearly and directly hinders authentic emotional connections. A person cannot know if his emotional connection with someone is true or not if he or she is using a potion, he he won't know if if he is feeling happy or sad if he has used the potion so much, he won't be able to clearly distinguish if the feeling is natural, if the emotion is natural, or it is a side effect of the emotion. Imagine the horror when a person realizes that the happiness or the excitement they were feeling was because of some artificially induced potion. And also, as humans are social animals, what makes us human is the strength that we gain from our emotions, needing that feeling that they are real. And also, if we can't form bonds that are real, I don't think there's any use of being a human at all. Thank you. I rest my case.
Thank you for that fine speech. I now call upon the opposition whip to present their speech whenever they're ready.
Yeah, just give me 30 to 40 seconds, please.
Yeah, sure.
All right, am I audible?
Yes.
Just a second. Try to see if my video switches on. All right, never mind. My network is way too bad. Starting my speech in three, two, and one. Alright, so panel, four different things that you'll be getting in my speech, right? Firstly, a bit of introduction on where exactly the government's case went wrong. Secondly, a highlight of the parallel arguments that went on in the debate and the poorly executed examples that they gave from their side of the house. Thirdly, the seven things that came in PM. Fourthly, the four things that came in DPM. Fifthly, the three or four things that came in government whip. And sixthly, why exactly do we win? That is a basic summarization of the unrefuted points from our side of the house that they did not even touch from their side of the house, right? Oh, by the way, in fact, we do magically win this debate since that was the metric that was used by the other side's as well. Moving on to the first part of my speech, right? There is the introduction that I gave you. The government has misunderstood the motion completely. They have to prove why that a complete ban is more beneficial than the status quo where there is no ban. They essentially made a case for us with a number of firstly parallel arguments and secondly poorly executed examples. The parallel arguments would be like they do not understand the fact that conscience and human conscience basically exist on both sides of the house. Firstly, and secondly, that the ability to understand and differentiate between natural emotions and artificial emotions also exists on both sides of the house clearly, something that they do not acknowledge on any single speech, right? But then moving on to addressing the PM speech, what do we get in that particular speech? Firstly, they come up and they do not tell us anything in the model, right? Firstly, they tell us, oh, but we propose a ban, but only when it is prescribed by medical professionals, etc., etc. Understand that this is a particular argument on our side of the house, as in this kind of trickles down to our side of the model, because what they had to prove on their side of the house, as in why a complete ban is necessary in order to look for a better world. On our side of the house, you will have the fiat and the authority to tell you that, okay, maybe regulations is possible, or we could also choose to say, okay, a complete ban is not something that we are looking for. The status quo is perfect. We had the option to choose between these two options. They did not. But irrespective, they simply came up to our side of the house, right? So simply looking at the model, we already take this debate. But I'll give you several more reasons as to why we win this. They do not tell us firstly how they'll care for the manufacturers, distributors, etc. Until they, again, the only rebuttal that they have is, oh, we'll magically pay them back. But then this was basically a point on our side of the house. They do not give a model. Their complete basis is wrong. But then what is the second part of the PM speech, right? The second part of the PM speech is something that triggered to the DPM speech and the GovWeb speech as well. They gave us a number of claims, all which are based on a number of assumptions, and I'll prove to you why exactly those two particular assumptions are completely false. They gave us a number of claims. Firstly, that to understand happiness, you need to understand the lows too, that all actions are driven by emotions. Personal growth requires both the highs and lows, and that the entire range of emotions of humans are special and that they exist for a reason. Understand that all of these are based on two single assumptions. Firstly, the ability to naturally feel love, hate, happiness goes out on our side of the house, apparently. And secondly, that conscience does not exist on our side of the house. I'll prove to you why exactly both these assumptions are untrue, right? Firstly, because the person is conscious when they know that that particular happiness is artificial. They know that, okay, I've taken this particular potion, which is why I'm feeling this happiness. They do know on our side of the house that what that's something that I have done concretely or out of myself is not something that is contributing to the feeling that I have right now. Rather, it is something artificial. That is a potion that I've taken. But secondly, it's because that person probably wants long-term effect of that taste, right? So they are more likely in order to build towards it in the long term rather than just being addicted to potions, which happens more on their side of the house because of the black market argument, which they actually haven't counted at all. And I'll also tell you why exactly that black market argument, even if it exists on our side of the house, is much, much amplified on their side of the house, right? But then moving on to the third thing that we got in the PM speech, they told us, oh, but love potions are a direct violation of consent. Firstly, it's not, because firstly, it's government regulated, as can be said on our side of the house and not on their side of the house. On their side of the house, it's basically, oh, but then medicines are also banned, right? Because they come to us in prescriptions. But then secondly, they are simply trying to strawman their arguments, right? Inducing love is something that was said in a completely different context in the motion, something that they do not consider over here. They simply cherry pick a case. But then the fourth thing that we get in the PM speech, right? They tell us that, oh, but people won't be able to differentiate between happiness, which is natural, and artificial. I've already proved to you that both natural, that the ability to differentiate between natural and artificial happiness exists on our side of the house as well, because over here people have a conscience as well, right? Simply not on their side of the house. And this is a particular exclusivity that they did not seem to prove on their side of the house as well, as in why this particular human conscience does not exist on our side of the house. So we can clearly say that, oh, but it exists, and thereby over here people do differentiate between what is natural and what isn't. But then what is the fifth thing that we get, right? They say that, oh, but it can be used by groups of power, groups of people in power to exploit other people. Again, black market exists on a more amplified version on their side of the house and not our side. So they should be worried about this particular argument and the harms that this particular argument poses as compared to we do. Moving on to the sixth thing that we got in the PM speech, right? They said that, oh, but people won't work hard enough for a good emotion. We already proved to you through the rehabilitation argument, as in why people such as
Won't work hard
sociopaths,
enough for a good
psychopaths,
emotion.
etc. They only need a trigger of this particular emotion in order to later work towards it, because they understand, okay, a feeling of remorse is something that I want in my life, irrespective, even in a worst case scenario, even if they do not feel that, okay, I need this particular emotion in my life, we still have a chance to see if that particular potion triggers any sort of after effect in that particular sociopath, psychopath, etc., etc. On their side of the house, there are no such methods of effective rehabilitation, and that same proof of logic also works over here. It's people will still work hard enough for a good emotion because they realize this is something that I want to feel later on in my life. This is something that I want for long term. But then they also say that, okay, addiction is a problem. Again, black market exists on a more amplified version on their side of the house, which I'll also be proving in my later rebuttals. Right? Moving on to the four things in DPM, then what exactly did we get in the speeches? Firstly, they came up and told us in black market people can be arrested, etc. Firstly, straw manning arguments. Again, million deals in the black market, you'll be catching only two of them. Firstly, but then secondly, has the drugs black market simply been closed down, right? That has been a battle since centuries. How exactly do you justify that? Oh, we'll probably have a black market, but that definitely won't have any harm, right? And again, oh, but there was a major rebuttal that came that we'll use magic to stop this. I'm kind of not refuting that. Moving on to the second thing that we got in the DPM speech, right? They say that, oh, it compromises people's autonomy. We have already mentioned to you in our model that this is essentially something that people can opt into and not something that they are forced to do. But then the third thing that we got in DPM, right? That is, it takes away emotions, etc. Why exactly do you feel that artificially feeling happiness reduces the ability to naturally feel happiness? Even if this was true, something that did not prove to us at all, we do not take this at granted because this particular accusation is simply false. But then the last and the fourth thing that we got in DPM, right? That potions temporarily change emotions. Exactly, our point too. They change emotions in order to make you taste what exactly you could feel for long term, which makes people work for that particular happiness, for that particular taste of that emotion in the long term itself. And then why people are more better off and more likely to be happy on our side of the paradigm rather than their side, right? But then moving on to the last part of my speech, that is the GovWeb speech. Most of the rebuttals that they gave were kind of based on, oh, but they have magic, right? They can solve these problems. But the only one issue that I'm kind of wanting to refute from this particular speech is that they say that, oh, but how is there no misuse of black markets on their side? Even if we concede to this that, okay, there are black markets, it's simply much more amplified on their side of the house, because on our side of the house, people still have some other form of maybe getting these particular portions, etc. Having refuted everything, having said that there are no clashes in the debate because most of the arguments that have been set are parallel, we think that we take this debate as opposition. Thank you.
Thank you for that fine speech. Opposition reply speaker, whenever you're ready, here.
Hi, just a quick clarification if I'm audible.
Yes,
Am I also visible by any chance?
you're not. Yeah, now you
Am
are.
I
You're visible
perfect?
now. Yes.
Okay. I'll try my best to stay visible because
Yeah,
it's a
sure.
fun thing, I feel like. Also, Chair, you don't have to interrupt me in the middle of my speech. If I exceed time, you can just like simply not consider whatever I say after the exceeded time, so that I can like sort of wrap it up.
Okay.
I hope that's okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Cool. I will start my speech in a self countdown of three, two, one. They lose this debate because they do not have a model. They lose this debate because they have no framework. They lose this debate because they cannot prove to us how this magical world works in the first place. Understand that the only framing that came from government side came in the government whip speech when they go ahead and say that, hey, this is a magical world, magic works, which means administrative systems are miraculously better, which means that now you have magical trackers, which means that now everything is a lot more regulated, bans are super enforced, everything is utopic, life is fantastic. This, even without any mechanism whatsoever, comes in the government whip, which means that it cannot be considered as credible framing. That being said, they have three major points, and how do we refute all 3 points? Firstly, the first major point that can be considered is that they say that, hey, black market is symmetric. Panel, no, black market is severely, unbelievably amplified on their side. A simple understanding of this is, hey, if I as an individual know I can legally purchase something, obviously I will not opt into the black market because the black market is likely to be A, expensive, B, it's also likely to be, like scary. I have a sense of deterrence. A common individual will not opt into the black market if they can legally purchase something, which means that common people opt into these markets simply because it's not legally available. Panel, I proved to you in my framework right in the beginning of my speech that the demand for this is symmetric. People will always want it. Stifling this demand and completely obstructing people from having access to it means that the black market will rise exponentially. And this black market is going to be unregulated, capitalist oriented, because these people have the power to make shady businesses. These people have the power to avoid government. The moment there is a market, the moment the demand shifts to the black market, these people will have an incentive to do so, right? Understand, when government is regulating the entire market, obviously these people now do not have an incentive to form the black market in the first place, which means that even the existence of black market is severely low because the demand is shifted to legal procedures, etc. Secondly, they go ahead and say that rich people will have more access because we're still giving access. Obviously, this is untrue because like the access is limited, and this is something that I told in my model at the very beginning. Uh, the access is limited, which means that everyone gets equal access, and this is not a lot. Secondly, they had to prove to me how these rich people are going to, I don't know, like implement this potion to sort of, I don't know, like control masses, because obviously this potion only works when you consume it. I How will the rich people make sure that every single person they want to control is consuming this potion in the first place? Secondly, they completely assume that in our paradigm people don't have a conscience. People have a conscience. Conscience doesn't change in both paradigms, which means that people have the ability to understand that they are feeling something artificially or if they are feeling something naturally. Panel, this is very important to understand because they just make this assumption that people do not have conscience. They have to engage and tell me why they make this assumption. Fourthly, they go ahead and say that hey, potions do not solve the problem. Um, cool. Even if in our best case we assume that these potions aren't solving the problem, even if in their best case we assume that these potions, I don't know, aren't relieving people from their extremely miserable lives, I don't understand how banning the potions are solving the problem. Which means that in their paradigm, they do not even give these people the opportunity to have these temporary relief. Understand, we have already proved in our speech why this temporary relief can be very, very important from people who are physically and societally, like incapable of solving their problem. This looks like oppressed communities who cannot, I don't know, get out of societal problems or societal system. This looks like toxic marriages where people aren't allowed to give a divorce. Obviously, you can't go ahead and talk things out with your husband if you're like in a toxic marriage. Understand, in places like this is probably the only way in which people can feel relief. Understand, at all points of time we give you exclusive benefits of our paradigm. A, we tell you why black market is a lot more amplified on their paradigm, why every single harm that they're trying to talk about is existing a lot more in their paradigm. Secondly, we tell you why the general quality of life of people in this paradigm is just like generally better. And thirdly, I think this is the point that is completely irrefutable. uh, the entire point of rehabilitation. Obviously, people who've never felt emotion now have the opportunity to feel the same. Obviously, people like sociopaths and psychopaths now know what emotions feel like, which means that better chances of having a better rehabilitation, better world, better justice system as a whole. For all those reasons, opposition.
Thank you for that fine speech. Gov, reply speaker whenever you're ready.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay, so I will be starting in three, two, one. So we clearly defined in our motion that we are banning the general usage of emotion regulating potions by the general public, and that their usage will be able to be prescribed by licensed medical professionals. So it will be strictly regulated, and this automatically counters all their points about how people in need medically, like sociopaths and criminals and people in depression, these people can all talk to a medical professional and have these taken on a need basis. Um, Second of all, the opposition has been bringing up very convenient examples and assuming that people are going to be using this only in an ideal way, as in only people in need are going to be using them, and are only going to be using them on themselves and while being perfectly aware of how much they're using it. But we cannot ignore the points that we have brought up about their misuse. They they can. They can be misused. Love potions are absolutely going to be misused on other people, and we have seen this with almost any form of power that has been given to uniformly to the people. It always ends up being accumulated with the rich, even when legally regulated and accessible to everyone. It the rich and powerful end up being able to use it more, and people are always going to misuse it. And another thing that is that even if it is evenly accessible, emotion regulating potions are evenly accessible to both a rich and powerful group and a minority group that may not be as powerful but has equal access to these potions. Now, suppose there is going to be there's going to be some action that the powerful group is taking that can harm the minority group. Even if the minority group has these emotion regulating potions, they can't do much about it because these are just regulating their emotions and not their actions. However, this favors the powerful group a lot more, wherein they can administer these potions to reduce fear and reduce sadness, and thereby suppressing any form of protest, which can indirectly affect their actions through their emotions. The opposition has only chosen hypotheticals that favor them, as in an ideal scenario where people use these only regulatedly, where people only use them in need and people only use them on themselves. And they have called all our uh, examples of their misuse outlandish. However, this is absolutely not the case, as we have seen with people over and over again, that whenever power is given to them, it is misused. And to say that this is not a part of their paradigm is extremely thoughtless and impractical. Um, while these would still be available in black markets, they would at least the government is not losing complete control on their regulation. The government is strictly banning and regulating their usage only for medical reasons, and there are going to be strict legal measures taken if found with them. So this will reduce the openness of their usage, and also will reduce their frequency and how much these are being used, and people misusing them have will at least face consequences. So with that, I believe that these should be banned for general usage. Thank you.
Thank you for that fine speech. With this, I think the debate has come to an end. We Agis will take a couple of minutes to gather our thoughts and formulate an OA. And yeah, I think the panelists will go first. So, how much time do you guys require,
Mahima, this will be
panelists?
simul
Mahima, we won't be having OSA.
Oh, okay,
we
cool.
will post it worded directly on Discord on the announcements channel.
Okay.
So if the others want to talk about the debate as a whole,
Yeah, we can have some
wants to give
general
some
views.
feedback about the debate as a whole, you are allowed to do that.
That after the announcement.
Yeah, I think, yeah, it'll make more sense to do it after the
Okay, sure.
Okay.
announcement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we'll meet again in some time. We'll tell you the timings. We'll announce. Thank you, both the teams. It was a good debate.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Pragyan.
Yeah, so I hope I'm visible.
Yes. Yeah, yeah,
नहीं
you
बोल
are
रहा है क्या
visible.
अरे
Okay,
यार
so
it's
with this, we come to an end of Vaksangram. The final debate has ended, and the verdict will be out very soon. And we'll update it on our
hello
social media, all kinds of social
hello
media.
Mr. Pragyan.
Mayuk, yes, you're audible.
अबे यार चल क्यों नहीं रहा
I'll get back to you. Okay, so with this,
passport
we end this
details
stream. I hope you guys enjoyed. It
हाँ
was a great experience for us as well as you guys. So thank you very much. This was Vaksangram 2024, and this was Debating Society IIT Guwahati. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon.
yeah
Thank you.